Hello, hello, testing, testing, testing. Oh wait, we do not have Discord sound. Give me 1 second. Hello, Gina?
Hello.
There we
I'm
go.
here.
Cool. Let me crank
Let's
you up
go.
even. How are you?
Be
Happy.
loud.
We were talking about mornings. We've been talking a bit here in our little pre-interview. We're talking
The
about.
morning.
I just want to take this moment to shout out that mornings are but a state of mind. Please, like, if you wake up at noon, enjoy those first 4 hours as your morning. That's your morning.
Your first meal is breakfast.
Exactly.
Always.
You deserve that. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome to Clock Your Blocks. For those that don't know, this is the interview show we do on the channel with different Minecrafters, where we talk about, what they like about block game, kind of about themselves and stuff. We're joined today by the incomparable Gina in a Bottle, who braved figuring out time zones to figure out. I'm literally like.
It's interesting.
I didn't. This is the thing I've asked multiple people about now, is that I didn't realize that in Britain y'all change the time zone, CST change, in America, the time zone changes
But you don't actually change your time zone.
Right.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, which doesn't make any that's the thing I was so
No.
confused about, is isn't that imperial shit?
Why?
Isn't that
What
not
was the
metric?
reason?
Don't we wouldn't the metric answer? I guess. Well, no, because y'all use the metric system, right?
Is that
Centimeters and meters instead of inches and feet.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
No,
we
the
also
good
use
one.
miles.
No, and Celsius. Wait, you use miles?
And so, yeah. Miles, but not it's a whole fucking mess.
Yeah.
Miles, not kilometers, but meters and centimeters and Celsius.
Metric and time zones have nothing to do. It feels like they could, though. You know what I mean?
You'd think there would be some consistency.
I'm also really confused. Anyway. All right. Anyway, we've gone. First off, thank you for being the first Leo on the show. I really appreciate that as well. Fire sign representation, have to have it. British representation, also have to have it. You know what I mean?
British.
I mean, we can definitely just start getting into stuff. Oh, what is different about the time zone in England? So you know how in America the time zone changes. So if you're in CST during daylight savings time, it switches an hour. It's in apparently they switch from BST to GMT.
Yeah,
so
we
I was
fully have two different time zones depending on what the point in the year.
Yeah. So I was fully what time is it in BST? And it was 5 hours, and I was like, wait a minute, that's scuffed. Well, I don't know. We got here.
But we're here.
But
we made
we're
it work.
here. Well, okay, so Gina, would you mind introducing everybody to who you are, what you're about, what you do?
Okay. Hello. I'm Gina. I have only been streaming for we're coming up 2.5 months. And I do a lot of block game. I do a bit of variety stuff as well. I'm starting to do a bit of that recently. But yeah, I'm all about good vibes. I do a lot of singing, a lot of music, chat interaction, all that stuff. I'm here to make people feel good. That's kind of what I want to bring to the platform. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I'm having the time of my life.
No, yeah, and I fully first learned, most people in this space, I fully first learned about you from TikTok. And
Woohoo!
What I remember, one of the things I definitely remember, most about you is how tapped into kind of TikTok trends you are, both in the sense of being a Minecrafter and I say having to be aware of the Dream SMP, the people that are aware of the Dream SMP don't enjoy it.
It's such a chore.
No, I know, that's what I mean. It's both. It's this weird it's simultaneously, well, for you, because it's enjoyable, but it's also that level of oh god, I'm a fan of something, and
how much are you gonna play into it, exaggerate it, because that's where most of the fans are. Most people who are into Minecraft Twitch have come, and I was the same. That's how I got into streaming, and how I got back into Minecraft was because of SMP Earth and the Dream SMP.
Right.
So in my head I'm oh my god, the Dream SMP fans, but I'm no, that's me. I sit and watch the law streams. Like, come on.
So you were back on the SMP Earth days. I realized someone was asking me like, "Oh, when
Yeah.
did you start watching like Tommy in it or like Wilbur?" And I was like, "I
Mm.
like early days, I think." And I realized it was actually SMP Earth. Like,
I
I
started with
missed.
the YouTube videos. That's where I got into it. Was
Yeah.
Wilbur's YouTube.
Yes, 100%. Like I remember the trial of Technoblade and Filza. Like
Oh my god, iconic! When they
It
just
wa-
took over the world. Oh my god, incredible.
so like for you, like what came first? Like wanting to be a Minecraft streamer, enjoying Minecraft, or that kind of like was it like were you inspired by kind of like the seeing creators and what they can do in the space?
Big time. So I've always I always had I've been a big YouTube watcher for like all my life. And I've always kind of thought like that would be the coolest thing ever. Like what a cool job, just like filming yourself and like meeting people and talking to people and kind of creating content. And that was always in the back of my head. I was like, in an ideal world, that's what I would be doing. But obviously I'll never do it. But like that's the dream. And then like over lockdown, and I went to uni and stuff and was like, I'll get a degree and like get a real job and all of this stuff. And then obviously COVID, I was stuck inside for 2 years. And I like just really got back into like the comfort stuff, which for me was YouTube. And just so happened that like the YouTube trends at the time were like Wilbur and Dream and like Minecraft, but like Minecraft mod videos and all of this stuff was just everywhere. And I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. And then you kind of get into it by there. And then seeing everyone on the Dream SMP was what really got me like, okay, you can just have fun with your friends and people want to watch it. And I wanted to watch it. And I was like, this is so cool. How have I not known about this before? And it took a year of me like watching it and being like, yeah, I should do this. Obviously I won't do it, but I should. And then it was like on my birthday back in August, I was like, wait, maybe I will. And all my friends were like, are you sure? Like, are you sure? But yeah, and I just like did my first stream and was like, wait, this is cool. And like, it's just been, I don't know. I've just met so many people in such like it feels like I'm having that same experience but just on a smaller scale that you kind of observe because you're just meeting people and everyone's just so nice and so cool. I don't know. It's the coolest.
No, totally. And I think that's like what's really cool about hearing that is like I think you have a mindset that I think a lot of Minecrafters specifically have, which is like the platform doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like we're streaming on Twitch, like you post content on TikTok, like a lot of people come from YouTube. Like it's just all about the the content being fun and enjoyable and having a good time with the block game. And I think that one of the things I know that I want to talk to you about, which is really funny, like Sophie, hello Sophie for popping into chat. Like Sophie's the guest for tomorrow, who is also a TikTok Twitch person. And I think that it's really like a thing that I know, and just like to plug the like low-key plug, but like actually a thing for me as a journalist, like as an interviewer that I think of a lot about with this. And like how I think of you two, like kind of like if I were starting to think of like overarching stories, like what I think is very true, Sophie has this like really interesting experience with TikTok where she fully fucking blew up as like a paint mixer TikToker and has now gone on to make really cool and interesting TikToks about being a Twitch streamer. And so it's like but it's like a really it's interesting because like, you know, we were talking about this beforehand where it can feel when you're at the place that y'all are at on Twitch specifically, like when you take one platform as a snapshot, it can feel like, oh man, you know, I haven't progressed as much as I thought I would, or it can feel like, oh, like this isn't going as well as it could, but like in reality, like it's actually going very well, and like a lot of it has to do with like seeing how well, like because you do very well on TikTok, for example, and like it's there's really like this kind of two ways of doing well on TikTok and seeing that kind of transfer over into Twitch. And like for me, that's why I'm saying this is because like I feel like you two kind of like represent like the two sides of that thing where like this like intense viral moment turned into like, okay, let me navigate maneuvering this audience
like
into something.
Yeah.
Or this kind of like, I'm gonna play trends, I'm gonna play like the fandom that I enjoy, and I'm gonna build like a community, like, and it like both things can have pieces of both things. Like you can have viral moments just doing the other way, but I think it's super interesting. Like how has that like being that kind of like working through TikTok on the consistent kind of like reacting to trends, like how's the day to day of that for you?
Well, it's weird because I was kind of doing it anyway before Twitch. Like my For You page was kind of always like streamer related before I even like thought about streaming. So I've kind of had that like all the way through. I've just been like seeing trends, and sometimes I would do them like, but I had like 4 followers. It was like me and my siblings and my best friend, and like that was it. And like I'd get 1 like, and they'd be like, "Yeah, no, this was cringe," and I was like, "Yeah, true."
And that's a great little practice space to work in, I think. But yeah,
yeah, absolutely. And but then yeah, so I've seen people do it and see how people use trends, make them their own, and like what stuff, like doing the same stuff that everyone else does can get you like oh so far, but like sometimes you do have to like put your own spin on it and like take it in a slightly different direction, and that's when you kind of blow up. And I don't think I've had one yet that has done like crazy well, but like there was one of my like most recent ones just for like no, it was always the ones I feel like when you don't actually put much effort in. Like a lot of mine, I will sit and like make sure my lighting's good and like do my makeup and like film it multiple times and like make sure I've timed it all right and doing all this stuff. My most successful one has been, I literally got home from work, my makeup is like fucking disgusting, and I like sat down and was like, I just need to film a TikTok, and I really want to meet other small streamers and like do all this stuff. But I was like, okay, I'll just do like manifesting this to end up on the For You page of female non-binary streamers, and like it's got like over 1,000 comments, and I was like, hello. Like it got to the point where TikTok like stopped me from commenting because they were like, you might be a bot, and I was like, it's my own TikTok. Please, I just want to respond to people.
Yeah.
Please. But yeah, it comes more naturally to me because that was my introduction into TikTok, was like seeing just people do the trends and like getting the same audio like 200 times in a row, like berries and cream stuff. Like that was my entire For You page for like 2 months. So like I have the trends like in front of me, which I think made it a lot easier. Like I don't have to do as much work to kind of like find the audios and like think about what I'm doing, because every time I sit on TikTok, which is a lot of the time, I'm like, I'll be saving audios and being like, oh, that would be interesting, write a little note down. Like sometimes I'll just film a draft like on the bus to be like, I'll do it properly later, but just like clock the idea. But it is weird because it was like just a leisure activity for me before, whereas now it's like it's kind of work, and like every time I log on and I don't have a new like or a new comment or whatever, I'm like, oh, and I'm like, why do you care? Just chill out, it's 2 a.m, like do your scroll to like make you whatever. But like no, it's weird, it's a weird shift, but I'm loving it.
I think that's super true, and I think that what really that speaks to is something you do really well, and I think that people need to do well when they multi-platform, if you want to call it that, which is knowledge of the platform itself. Like you can't just take Twitch clips. I mean, you can, like people do it, and they like just spam like, you know, their Twitch. Hi, me. I just post Twitch clips.
yeah.
Like I edit them to where, but my point is like there's a degree to which you have to be knowledgeable of the platform, like to know what does well, and know like you can't just be like, I think about this a lot with like, I don't know, like I actually really am not enjoying Instagram Reels or YouTube Shorts, which I know is like a thing, because the reason for me is like with TikTok, like okay, it was like for me it was like a learning curve of I mean I was a TikTok enjoyer for like 2 years, but figuring out like what content would go on there like was really I had a hard time with. But like it's even more so with Reels and Shorts, because like that enjoyability factor isn't there. Like TikTok's fun, you know, like.
And it's like the purpose of, I was talking to one of my friends, Paddy, he's like pretty big on TikTok, and we were kind of having this conversation about like he was basically giving us loads of wisdom and being like, guys, here's how you do well. And we were like writing it down like, okay. But he was basically talking like TikTok is the only app that's like designed for that kind of short term, like here's 10 seconds of just funny, and here's another 10 seconds, and here's another 10 seconds, whereas YouTube and Instagram weren't built on that. So like it's never really going to work as well as TikTok, because that is what TikTok is designed to do. It's just like short bursts of funny and energy and whatever, and that's it. Whereas so I think it's you can kind of see it. And I mean, I think YouTube Shorts is getting bigger now, and I think they're adapting the platform a little bit to make that work. But that's why I think that's why TikTok is almost easier, and people tend to gravitate towards there a bit more.
And it's like super. I think that a thing is that's very true is a lot of people that come to Twitch and a lot of people that even come to TikTok like are YouTube kids or teens or early 20s,
sure.
and so like being like something that's interesting about being a creator with YouTube Shorts is like it is actually an opportunity to just like real quick get your first 100 subscribers if you just start like reposting your TikToks to YouTube Shorts. But then it's like really, it just seems really hard to me, and like that's I guess my ultimate point is like what's so important about like, and you do so well, is like that understanding of like what it's like to enjoy the app, like what it's like to create something that's gonna be fun on TikTok.
And it's I think just because of coming from that position of that's the content that I saw for like a year and a half. So and the same with Twitch, I think, like having been so active in the community and such an avid like audience member, like I must have, don't know why, but I must have been like subconsciously taking notes of like, oh, and like remembering stuff and whatever. But yeah, it's something that I'm glad that I had that like time of like just enjoying the content rather than always thinking like, oh, I could do this, maybe I'll do this, because I feel like you absorb a lot more when you're just like embracing it.
Yeah, and I know like to that end too, like another thing, just thinking about content creation in general and like figuring out paths with it and stuff is like the SMP space is so interesting. And I know you have Gina SMP. Like for those that don't know, also what is Gina SMP if you don't mind?
No, so it started out as a survival server for me and some friends. And then we quite quickly figured out that we were like, actually, we just want to build and just build really cool stuff and just like mess about and just like not take it seriously. And we've just like, I think there were like 4 of us at the start. And now I think there's like 20 something. And just all like any like people that I meet who are kind of in the similar circles and whatever. Totally. I'm just like, oh, do you want to join? Coming out, but it's turned into like a really lovely friend group. Like some of my like best friends in the world I met by adding them to my little server, which is just, it's really cute. But yeah, that's the little introduction.
No, and I like truly, and I find that super interesting too, from the sense of the Discord Minecraft server platform, if you want to even call it that, because it's like that's like way less a like how much do community spaces like that matter to you?
Oh, massive. Like I'm someone who I can be really awkward and shy if I'm not comfortable around people. And so, for example, if I'm creating something that is designed to be streamed on and like interaction and kind of content made, you're going to be interacting with people a lot. So it was really important to me to have like it not just be guys, I'm going live, come and hang out. It's like it's a friend group where we all talk to each other and post cool stuff and ask questions and be like, oh, this fun thing happened to me today. And like it's genuinely like a friend group. And then also sometimes we are live, and like that, I think that balance is really nice, and that kind of comes from having that Discord space. And like Discord is such a blessing in that way, because that's kind of what it's perfect for, and you can have loads of different ones for your different groups and all that. But yeah, the community space for it has been it's led to like quite a lot, which has been really cool. Like that I set it up, I was like, wow. I'm the OG.
Yeah, and it really becomes this thing of like, because you have that public facing, like where you're like, okay, what am I putting out on TikTok, or like what is this stream? What's my stream title going to be, or like, you know, whatever. And then, but then you have that. You can also have that kind of like internal, like, you know, like making friends and like getting to know people. And I think that that's like what's so like I almost feel like that wasn't the case with like if we were living in the YouTube content boom, you know, like I don't feel like that was the case, you know?
Not at all. And also like it's not even just like my friends, like everyone that I know who streams has their own obviously like community Discord. And with mine, like we've been playing so much stuff off stream and just sitting in VCs and having a chat stuff, and that like you say, like that doesn't, I feel like that you don't get that with like the Twitch community itself. I feel like it's such like a force, and just such like it's so unique than it, but like from any other, which I just think is really nice. It's really nice.
Well, and I know another thing that and this is kind of a tangent, but like another thing that I think is really interesting about your background is that you do have a performance background. Like I know I was like going into the interview, I was like, wait a minute, how do I, and first off, I don't even know how I knew this. I was like, Gina's a theater kid. Like like it must have been some random TikTok or something. I mean, look, you never want to, as a
as a theater kid, you can't say it, but like
Yeah, like I studied music performance in college actually, and so you never want to be like you like
Having been
you like
around the
having an
performance kit,
audience,
you're like,
you know, like
I don't want to like. I'm gonna say it, but.
but I
Yes.
do like for you like how first off like how has that affected the way that you interact with stream, you know, and like interact with your stream audience?
I don't. It's interesting because I did in school, like I did a lot of performance, like musical theatre, obviously. Um, and I did music at uni. But very much took it away from the performance. I was much more like into the kind of theory side. So I think you kind of, as you get older, you have that. It was like performance anxiety. I was like, I can't enjoy it as much as I want to, because I'm just nervous. But I never had that because my like piano is my main instrument. And so that was what I would have to kind of do if I was doing it like professionally or seriously. I never had that with singing, which I think a lot of people have it the other way around because I feel like singing feels much more like vulnerable. I don't know.
Piano's very left brain, and like singing's very like left brain. I don't know which one
it feels
but you know
more
what I mean.
like from your like feels more personal. Yeah. But having done that, having done like performing at school, I know how to like deal with the nerves. And like I know that as soon as I press go live, the nerves go, you know? You'll be gearing yourself up before and you'll sit there and be like, I don't want to do it, I'm so scared. But like as soon as you just do it, as soon as you're like on the stage or you press go live or you're like on a call with someone, like it's fine. And like you can still be like a bit nervous, but like the performance fear that I think stops, or from what I've like people who I've spoken to, that stops a lot of people from streaming. They're like, oh, I just don't like, that's really scary, the idea of being live and people watching me and stuff. Like I had already had that throughout school. So I was like, it's fine. And everyone's like, it's not fine. And I was like, oh. The theatre kid comes out.
It is super interesting how well it translates. Like I think that's also a really interesting thing too. Like you wouldn't think that like streaming and being in the digital space would translate so well to or what am I trying to say?
It's live and like in person, like having that kind of interaction with people, which is such a big part of music performance most of the time. And like being like seeing people's faces and like the applause and stuff like that, like that's all part of the performance sphere. Whereas with like Twitch, like unless people like redeem the sound alert that's like clapping or like it's just you, and you don't really get anything back, which can be quite difficult. But at the same time, for me, I almost felt like it was easier because then you can kind of pretend like no one's there. Like if you can't look up and see like someone's face like staring at you, then no one's really watching.
That's
but
super
obviously there are.
true. That's
kind of how I have taken it, I think.
And I think that's super interesting. And kind of the next thing I wanted to ask you about with that on that topic is, you know, I know one thing for me as a performer and like as a streamer is thinking about the relationship between audience and performer, like thinking about that dynamic, that connection, like is very fascinating to me. And like, yeah, like there are differences and there are similarities, like about the, just like, I don't know. I think that's why, like, for me, it's really hard sometimes to, actually, I don't know if this is true. I could always pretty much play Minecraft, but but I think that there are definitely times where when you're getting that kind of reaction from chat and like hearing from what people think about what you're doing or what you're saying, like it keeps you going, you know, just the same way that when you're performing it does.
It's just it's a much more low, and you can almost choose to tune into it or to ignore it, which is like obviously being in a kind of online space, you're going to get like people who don't like you and like people are going to come in and be nasty. So like it's easier to choose, like if someone was stood in front of you like saying you're rubbish, you're not funny, I don't like you, like you can't be like, whereas you can just like turn off chat and then you're like, it's fine.
Or
no
just
one's
ban,
here. I'm just playing vlog game. Yeah, just ban and you never see me again.
They need to add that to theaters, dude. They super need to add that. Just like we should be able to ban people just like immediately gone, please.
We need that.
No,
roll it out.
One thing we talk about a lot on the show, especially with people with different backgrounds, like we've talked about this graphic designers and they're kind of like trained artists, is how like that space specifically, like with Minecraft specifically and performance, I think it's super fascinating as a game. Like, it really does. Like for you, like as a performer and as a person from theater, like how does building and working and streaming and creating in Minecraft, like how does this game specifically benefit you?
I feel like similar to a lot of people, it's more like a springboard. It's more like a background to me, if that makes sense. I think I was watching, I can't remember who it was. It might have been Tommy in it. Talk about it, and he was like, his big thing that he was like, what I want to bring to it is, it's just like a vehicle for the comedy, as opposed to like I'm playing Minecraft and I'm also being funny. It was like I'm being funny, but I'm just putting it through the game. And I think that's kind of the new wave of Minecraft content creation, which we're all kind of in. Is like, it's not, unless you're like, you know, Illumina and are just speedrunning like whatever, like in like sub 15 minutes, like crazy stuff. Like you have to bring something else to the table. And like often that is kind of what keeps people in, as opposed to the game itself. Which I love, because I'm not great at the game. Like, I love it, but like I'm not good. But like being able to just sit and sing and just talk to people and like that kind of stuff is what I would want to be doing anyway. But because my brain can't focus on one thing at a time, like moving my hands and doing all this stuff like that, it gives me more of like an energy boost as well. And also like it's fun. Like it's just fun for me. And I think if I'm having fun, people will feel better, if that makes sense. Like if you can see the person in front of you is like having a good time and laughing and doing all that stuff, that's always a better vibe than like nothing at all.
Totally. Yeah, and I think that's super interesting. I think that's kind of because what I'm starting to get at too, because this is what now, like the fourth Clock Your Blocks or something like that. Like, what's very true about this game, because we've had like Li Xing, who's an environmental scientist, Sly Says Hi, who's a graphic designer, L, who's a composer, like many other things. And so like we've had so many people from different spaces, and like it's just so interesting. There's
you can really do
line,
what
though.
you want with it.
Yeah, but there's also like, it's like a certain kind of person, but also like it's a very varied certain kind of person. I don't know how to put it.
We're all the same.
We're like, but also very different, you know? But
it's
I don't
like
know.
it's got more of, I feel like because it's such like an old game.
Yeah.
It's got so much more of a community and like a love about it. Like people don't really just like Minecraft, you know? You're either like, I love Minecraft, or I don't really care about it at all.
Yeah.
So like it attracts that kind of like group of people who are like, no, it's a really lovely game. Like I just love it. And so the people that then start to create content from it have all kind of come from that background as well. It's like your childhood, and like, I don't know, so many people have grown up with it. It's more than like just, I don't know, like Valorant is at the moment. Like obviously it's fun and people have a good time, but it's never going to have that same like, I want to say the word cult, but it's really, that's not what I mean. But like almost like, I don't know, like family around it.
Well, it's also like trends, weirdly. Like the thing that's weird to me about Minecraft is it is a decade-old game, and it does hit trends like as it updates and things like that, or like given celebrity or YouTuber or whatever content creator plays it. But also like there's always going to be, like, you know, you mentioned speedrunners. There's always going to be people playing Minecraft to beat it as fast as possible, even if it's like the least popular game. But then also simultaneously, it like attracts people who are like, well, I'm looking for something to just like do Hamilton roleplay to, you know?
Oh, what a time!
What a time! Truly.
Take me back. Genuinely.
Well, I know another thing I definitely want to ask you about. I think this is probably the first TikTok I saw of yours, and like, sorry to get real with it, but like, one thing I know for me is when I was doing a different podcast for a different thing, for like completely unrelated to video games or Block Game or Twitch or anything. My childhood. Oh no, don't age dox me in chat right now. Anyway, cause same. But what was I gonna say? Yeah. Oh, I interviewed a lot of artists. I've interviewed a lot of artists, and I find it really interesting to like kind of be in the like talking to Minecrafters and Twitch and content creators and things like that, because there are themes, and one of them is like no one worded it as well as you did in this one of like, I mean, I'm sure people have, but you know what I mean? Like where you said,
No, I'm the best. You can say it.
Yeah, fair enough. Like it was like, oh man, I'm 1 month into streaming and somehow I'm not partnering on the Dream SMP yet. And I think that's like measuring that expectation versus reality thing, that like measuring that, like, it's almost like akin to like imposter syndrome and things like that too, of like seeing kind of like what you thought success was beforehand and like what it actually looks like. It's all really hard to deal with on a day-to-day, and so I'm kind of curious for you, like being aware of that and going in and like what keeps you going, like what have you learned, you know?
I think I went into it with quite low expectations because you see the stats around it and you're like, there are like what 10 million streamers on Twitch or something. And I was like, what, like unless you're in like the top, like affiliates are like 50%, and then you can see the breakdown of numbers, but it's basically like there are so many people here, like I'm just gonna, and I think it took me a while to like gear myself up to it, and like not to be like sound like depressed, but it was like a way of me to be like, no, it's like you don't have to be getting those numbers, but you also see those people getting the numbers and are like, I could do that. Why was anyone not watching me? And like having come especially from the Dream SMP, like that's what got me into Twitch. That the numbers they're getting are like over 100,000 a stream, like without fail. And like in my head, like that becomes, that's a Twitch stream, is, you know, you sat in front of 100,000 people, like with 20,000 subs, and you're just kind of, you know, having a good time. And then you like press go live for the first time, and it's like you and your mum, and you're like, oh, hi chat, nice to see you all.
That gap is huge. Like it just seems
huge.
Like it's such a, I don't know. Yeah, no, sorry, go ahead.
No, but like it's exactly it. Like you kind of don't realize how big that hill is until you like start climbing, and you're like, wait. And like, so like most of my friends who are like exist on the online sphere are streamers as well. And it's been so lovely to have that, like, we're all just all in it together and are all like, yep, no, today was rubbish. And we'll all go, yeah, no, it really sucks when you don't have any views. And we're all like, yeah. And then we just go and play Minecraft for like 6 hours and like, it's all fine again. Like, life's good. But it's so strange to like, because you can't compare yourself. Even though you're in the same, it's almost a different job. Like feels like a different platform if you're like getting that like number of views. Like the small streamer community is so like, everyone's in the same boat and it's so lovely, but it just seems like that's a whole other like ballpark, you know? Like, I don't know, it's bizarre. But I think in terms of like managing it, I like, it's things like turning off your view count and stuff like that. Like I don't really check my stream analytics until I'm in a good mood. Like if I end stream and I'm like, I'm tired and I'm cross, I'm like, even if it's good news, I'll be like, yeah, fair enough. Like, unless I'm like in a good headspace and I'm like, oh, how could I do better? But I think I'm quite lucky in that because it's happened so fast, like I haven't had to deal with too many of the lows, which obviously will come. And I'm expecting them like soon.
Yeah. January's right in the corner. Sorry.
I'll just stop streaming. Sorry. I'll quit Twitch.
Oh God, no, don't, please don't. No.
But yeah, so a lot of the people that like I know have been streaming for months and months and months, and the same content that I'm doing. It's you realize how much it is like luck. Like the people who are working the hardest are not getting like the most, you know. And like it's the same with everything. And like you've just got to play the algorithm and just play the system almost if you want to get there.
I'm really glad you mentioned the post-stream down thing, because like that's a real thing. And you know, honestly, like I really find it, like what I'm actually really glad about you bringing it up specifically is because I find it really similar to like post-show depression, you know?
Oh God, post-show blues. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Like it's totally like in a way.
Yeah, I'm getting it like every day.
Yeah, when someone first
Like,
told me like turn off your view count, I was like, oh yeah, totally. I totally like I feel like there are other people that don't get why. And it's like, Because you're fucking in your head otherwise. Like,
Yeah.
it's so...
And you're so distracting. And if you see yourself dropped by one viewer, you're like, oh, what have I done wrong?
Right.
And then you lose your train of thought, and you're just, I don't know. It's not worth it, in my opinion, to kind of keep track of that. But some people like do really like are there to kind of like for the viewers and like fair play. But like if I was sat there with two people in my chat not saying anything, I would be doing the same stuff that I'm doing with, I don't know, 20 people. Like, I don't know. Totally. I don't want to have to work like clock that in my head. Be like, yes, there are 4 people watching me, or yes, there are 15. Like it would affect me. So I'm kind of like taking the step before to be like, don't let it, you know?
Well,
but yeah, Postshow blues.
Yeah, totally. I think we have a few minutes left before we have a few minutes left. So what I want to do is open up the chat for specific questions. If you all have specific questions, please get them in now. And then I have one more question for you while that happens. Which is, I'm curious, like we've talked so much about like consuming content and kind of figuring out what you want to do with that knowledge. Like for you, like what has been like your favorite content to watch as a consumer, and like what do you most look forward to do? Like what excites you the most, like to do next or soon?
I'm so for this is spoilers for Christmas. I'm getting some music producing software and a better mic, and something that I really want to do, because I used to watch James Marriott's streams, where he would just like be producing tracks and not really talking to chat too much, but just kind of doing the music of it. And like I've never felt more relaxed than just like watching someone put something together like that. So I definitely want to do stuff like that. Once I have more of a platform and won't feel the pressure to be like, I need to produce the content that people expect me to, and like all this kind of stuff, which is kind of where I'm at the moment, is like, I do Minecraft and like, that's where I get most of my viewers and I love it. But like, if I'm not doing it, I almost feel like I'm letting people down, which is silly. It's so stupid, but it's kind of always in the back of your head. Like if that's how you get if that's what people come for and then you're not giving them that, I don't know. Weird. But yeah, I definitely want to do music stuff. Terms of content that I watch, it's weird. I used to just watch like the bigger streamers, like every day. I'd just sit on the evening and like see who's watching. I hardly ever watch big streamers now. Having started streaming and seeing what small streamers are doing, and like the incredible interaction and like people you can meet just by like scrolling through the Minecraft like explore bit and just like jumping into random people's chats, like doing all this stuff and finding people through Discord servers. Like that's now the content that I like to like enjoy. I don't know.
Yeah. Like,
and that's been a massive change since starting streaming. And I think a lot of people have had similar.
With lore, like whenever like the Dream SMP does a big lore day, or even like MCC now, like I still watch, because obviously I'll still watch like a couple perspectives. MCC. But I remember it was like before it was like, oh no, I am this is my day. Now it's like I'll open up a stream, but like I have like 3 streams open all the time now. It's like very normal to just be surfing Twitch,
Like I feel like it's such a different experience. It's the same thing we were talking about earlier of like it's a platform. If you're there for like the bigger people and like that's what you use Twitch for, like love it, like that's great. But it's very different to what kind of we're doing. Totally. Which you wouldn't have known until you're like in it. Yeah. Which I think is cool. Feels like a secret little club.
Yeah, 100%. Well, listen, Gina, this was great. This is great. I think we're good. I think one of the last things we do, obviously we're gonna raid somebody. But like I always love to offer up. Is there anyone you want to like check your following real quick and see if there's anybody you would want to raid? You can lead the raid if you want to.
Let me do that. I
would love that. Otherwise, I do have someone
Wakey's
in mind.
Live. I mean, I would, if I was streaming now, I would raid It's Wakey, who's one of my streamer friends.
Here, do you mind?
I will stick his link in chat.
Please do.
He's only been live for 20 minutes.
Perfect.
He's a good egg. This is so fun.
This was so y'all. Okay, yeah. It's actually like most recent messages in chat, but I'll drop it again. If you don't already follow Gina, you must. You absolutely must.
You simply have to.
GD Leo icon.
Let's go.
The fact I don't just there's just something I just so easy to be like. Well, I'm very like into astrology, so I always kind of remember everybody's signs. It's pretty.
Yeah.
It's very me. Cool. Here I'll drop the messages in chat.
Woo!
Yeah, thank you all so much for being here. Gina, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure.
Stay safe. I will be live again tonight doing some just Nightingale BS. Otherwise, and then Clock Your Blocks again tomorrow. We're trying to squeeze him in. My birthday's next week, so we're just trying to like.
Oh my gosh! Happy early birthday.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you so much. Stay safe, gamers. Bye.
Bye.